In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a custom CRM powered by the data in your Airtable. By doing this, you'll be able to create a better interface for your team and also be able to limit which records certain team members can see so that opportunities, tasks, or other private information can be hidden if appropriate. So here we've got a standard CRM template from the Airtable universe. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that we have a table for the users to be logging in. Right now we're using collaborator fields in order to keep track of who owns what opportunities, but what we're going to want to do is create a new table called staff, and this will be the users who will be logging into the Stacker app. So you'll need to keep a list of the users available on this page, and if you want to add new users in, you need to add them onto this list. So we're going to need to change this current collaborator column into a link into that staff table. So the first thing we'll do is make sure that we've got a record for each of the staff members. Now thankfully you can just copy and paste this and then go and change the type from collaborator to a link to this newly created table. And we'll make that a single link. And once we save that, now when we go to this staff table, we can see that we've got the list of their opportunities there. We also need to remember to add an email field. And that field is going to be how we let the users log into this. We'll add some test data in here. Okay, now we've got links between all the different tables here. So account has links to contact, it also has links to opportunities, and we've got interactions, which are linked directly through contacts and also to opportunities. So we should be able to connect everything once we get that into the Stacker app. So let's go and have a look. I've already made the connection of the Airtable base into Stacker. So now we can do the sync with Airtable, and at this point Stack will automatically generate the app based on what we set up. So we can choose the table we just created as the users who will be logging into this app, and we'll use the email column to let them log in with their email address. We'll bring in all these different tabs, but if you have some extra tabs in here that you don't want to include, you can disable them just like that. But we'll keep all those on for now. And at this point, you can also choose to upload a logo or change the brand color to fit your business. Okay. So now we're logged in as the admin, and so we can see the whole setup, home screen, and we can go into the app and have a look at the different areas. So the first thing I'm going to do is reorder this menu to make sure that the items come in a kind of logical order. So we're going to hit configure navigation, and let's bring accounts and contacts up to the front. Okay, that's looking good. Let's click into one of these and see how this looks. So I think this is a pretty dull layout and probably not very informative. I don't think we need the company website up front, for example. So we can turn off some of the information that's not so relevant and maybe display this in a bit more of a useful format for us to be able to put on a bit more information here. So we'll keep it like that, and we can add some filters to allow us to change and find people in very specific industries or particular sizes. And once we save this layout, we can go and have a look at editing the individual detail page. So I'll click into one of these records, and now you can see we've got the detail for this particular account. Now there's a lot of information on here. We've got some kind of useless technical information and information of various types. And right now this page is quite hard to look at and understand. So let's click this individual field container and start to get rid of some of the information that we're not interested in. we can already see their name. We don't need that map cache. So now we've got two kind of types of information. We've got some records that are linked to them, and we've got general information about the company. Let's get rid of the linked records as well. So we're going to turn off opportunities and contacts, but we will bring those back later. And let's separate out this into two different sections. We've already got one section for this whole thing, so we'll add a new one, and we'll just drag this up here. And we're going to call this one links, and we'll call this one company details. Great. And now we can just reorder these things to be in the right area. And we don't need this to be a full width item. Okay, great. This is already looking a lot more straightforward. Now let's bring back some of that information that we hid earlier on. So instead of displaying the linked records as a field on this layout, instead we can add this record list and show it inline as a full table. So first let's add on the contacts at that account. So we're going to choose the contacts layout, and we're going to say we can call this employees, and we'll allow people to add a new contact inline here. So they just need to come to the right account, and they can click add new, and they can add an employee inline. We can also go and edit this contacts layout to feel a little more interesting. And I think cards would be really nice here. And since we're going to be showing these in context on the account, we don't need to show the account name. So let's actually get rid of the name and organization field, and we'll just have the name because we know which organization they're going to be part of, and we'll hit save. So now under accounts, if we click into any account, we can see the context at the account with that relevant information. And because we can see that, I think we don't need to show this accounts up in the nav bar anymore. So let's go and remove that from the navigation. So we'll turn off contact. Let's go and have a look at opportunities now. So opportunities go through these different statuses. Here we've got an opportunity at Payless Cacheways, and this goes through qualification, proposal, evaluation, all the way down to either won or lost. And things that go through that kind of pipeline funnel flow are really good to display not as a list, but instead as a board, as a Kanban board where you can move things between different columns. So we're going to use the status field here, and there's a lot of stuff in there now. So let's instead actually only show things that are in the first few statuses. So we'll go all the way up to negotiation. And now we have a kind of a general overview of all the opportunities in flight. And we can move items between these different columns. So if I close that, we can drag items from here to here. So we move that across to valuation. We can also move it all the way into one of these closed categories down at the side here. And because we didn't include those on the layout, they're now available to be dropped into at the side. So if this is one, we can just drop that into the one category, and that disappears from this board. That's good, but it's a shame not to be able to see where those opportunities are. So let's go and edit this layout again. And here we'll copy this layout. So we'll make a duplicate of it, and we'll call this one. And here we'll display things not as a Kanban board this time, but back to being rows. And we'll put a filter on, and we'll show only the records of status closed won. Great. Now, at Blackstone, opportunities are quite a sensitive topic, and We don't want everyone to be able to see everyone else's opportunities. So the way we manage that is using Stacker's permission system. The permission system lets you configure which records a user can see and what actions they can take on those records. So to access that for any particular table, you can click the setup cog and go to Opportunities Permissions. Right now, by default, users can access all the records. So user logging in will be able to see all the opportunities records. But we want to limit that so that they can only see the records that they're assigned to. We have an owner field on the opportunities record, and that is a link to the staff table, which is the table we're using as our users. So we can use that to create a link in Stacker and limit who can see what based on that. So we're going to limit this to only seeing some records, and we're going to say the owner has to match the user who's logging in. We're going to let people update records and also create new opportunities, but we need to remember to make sure that all new opportunities they create are assigned to them, otherwise they won't be able to see that. So we'll do that, but first let's just go take a look at the individual field permissions and make sure that we don't want to change any of these. We don't want people to be able to assign opportunities to a different owner. So to do that, we can turn this off and make it so that they are unable to change the owner once it's been initially assigned. Let's go and make sure that we set all the opportunity to be created by the right person. Within a settings for a given object, we have a created by field. And that allows us to automatically add in the information about which user created a record at the time when it was created. So let's hit expand, and we can choose that owner field as our created by field. Now, whenever a record is created in opportunities by using the add new form, it will automatically fill in the owner, and that will be saved on the record depending on who's logged in. Finally, we've got interactions, and interactions are linked through an opportunity, and that is a good candidate for us to add either onto the opportunity itself or onto the staff member who's involved. But let's go and put it on the opportunities record. So we can drag on the record list again, and we can choose interactions, choose the default layout, and here we can see all the interactions filtered by opportunity to match this opportunity. The final thing we can do, especially on opportunities that are changing status, is to show information differently depending on what status it's in. So here I'm going to edit the layout, and I'm going to replace this whole field container with two new ones depending on whether the opportunity is still in negotiation or whether it's already closed. So let's create a new field container, and we'll have this one for when it's in negotiations. There we're interested in the expected close date, the estimated value, and the priority. So we don't want to show those in the main information box. So we only want this to show while this thing is not yet won. And we can do that using conditional visibility. Conditional visibility will only show a section on the page if certain conditions are met. So in this case, we're going to ask that status is not either won and the status is not lost. So up until that point, it's still open. And if that's the case, this item will appear. Let's go and test that out. So this is still in the state of negotiation. So here we can see this top section. But if we go and find a record that's already been won, that top section doesn't appear. And that's a really powerful way to make the layout of a detail page contingent on the status the record's in. So now we've got accounts, opportunities, and the interactions. The final thing we've got is the team who are engaging in this CRM. We can change this layout to be a little more friendly to being based on users. And if we added photos in here, they would appear for each staff member, and this becomes a bit like a staff directory. So that's a really quick guide on turning your CRM powered by Airtable into a Stacker app where the information is easier to find and it's easy to see records that are grouped together, and you can limit certain bits of information when it's appropriate to only show certain staff members records that they own or they're assigned to.